So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, "The two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born." I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you're very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They called me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me.
Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. And good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. And for the next 3 hours, you can join the conversation to express your thoughts, your concerns, your fears. Whatever's on your mind and whatever's in your heart, all you have to do is call me at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or tweet me at twitter.com, the Rev Al. Well, a lot is happening, and we need to get right into it. I left some of you on the board last evening, and you can call in and express what you wanted to say yesterday, or you may have new thoughts today. And obviously, the rest of you that have thoughts for today, I welcome your calls at 1-877-532-5797. And we get calls all over the world. And I'm live streaming now at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. And, of course, you can put your comments on, as some already have put on. TJ Truckin saying, good afternoon, peace and graces. And peace and grace to all. I see you, TJ. And so we're on live stream and on YouTube, N-A-N on YouTube. And this is the second week, and we've been getting pretty great reception. A few thousand has been watching us on YouTube and on Facebook or WWRL, nationalactionnetwork.net. So combined numbers has been several thousand every day. And not to mention the thousands upon thousands listening on radio. I'm trying to cover every Well, I see you, Crystal. No justice, no peace. Good afternoon, Cena. Thank you. I'm trying to cover every media platform I can because of the disinformation that is being put out there in the so-called mainstream media, especially when you have a guy like Elon Musk, who has all this technological ability. They are just parroting as much as they can misinformation. And I want you to be absolutely clear on what is and what is not. And that's just the name of the game for me. I think also that it's a time to energize. You know, I'm so excited. I spent time in between meetings, and I've been at several important meetings this morning and the rest of the day when I get off the air, and then the night I'm going on Ari Melba's show on MSNBC at 6 o'clock. But I've been spending a lot of time talking to people who are ready and energetic to come to National Action Network's convention and then leave there with assignment on where we're boycotting and where we culminating. A lot of things are going to come out the convention this year because we got to hit the ground running. We cannot let these people just act like we are not here. Wanga says, joining you from South Africa. Please do comment regarding the executive order against South Africa. I will do that. Wanga is talking about the President of the United States, Donald Trump, has said an executive order that they will stop aid to South Africa because whites in South Africa, white settlers, have been told if their settlements came in a illegal or frontal way during apartheid, they had to be repatriated. Now, not all whites, but those whites that have under apartheid rules illegally grabbed land. Trump even went further, saying that he would offer refugee status to white South Africans in the United States. So for all of these citizens of the United States that are listening, that come with this rationale, well, we got too many people here. We've been overrun. They're taking jobs. Well, then how is President Trump saying we have room for white settlers from South Africa, but we don't have no room for people from Haiti? I mean, we can't be that stupid. And I think that there must be resistance. We're going to deal with it at our international panel at the National Convention. Must be resistance to what he's doing in South Africa. And I'm definitely on that. I'm glad you come on and sent me a message early so I could deal with that. Also, domestically in this country, the Senate is set to hold a final confirmation today on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s nomination for Health and Human Services Secretary. And again, Chuck Schumer, who leads the Democrats in the Senate but doesn't have the majority, is saying they should vote him down. He's a conspiracy theorist. He said that COVID wasn't real. He's against vaccination. I think that we'll see that vote today. We see also that they are probably going to have to vote on Kash Patel for FBI director, and they've come up with a lot of stuff he said and done, but the Republicans are standing behind him when he had an enemies list, a target list, even in a book he wrote. But they're going to put him over the FBI so he can do what he wants to do. And then you have Linda McMahon, who used to be the co-owner with her husband of the World Wrestling Association, and she's up for a she's up for Senate confirmation hearing as for the Small Business Administration. So there's a lot happening in Washington about all of this confirmation of people. You know, last night I spoke at St. John's of Divine Cathedral, and it was an ecumenical service called by Bishop Hyde and Bishop Hyde, who is the Episcopal bishop of this region, and real progressive, works in his community, work in the communities that the churches they have. And he had a Muslim imam, he had a rabbi, had me and others. You done live stream, that's a picture of it last night. Hundreds of people coming out. And it is a church that historically has been, quote, white liberal. And I remember when I was a kid, I think his name was Morton, was the bishop, but they've always been involved. And their issue, front and center last night, was around migrants. And they asked me to be the last speaker. And then the night before that, I spoke at the Yale University at Yale's political union. And they had a packed house of young, mostly white students. Out of a couple of hundred, 200, 300, they maybe had 10, 12 blacks. And I'm saying that to say, even in the white community, with the bishop of the Episcopal Church and, you know, hundreds that came last night, and Yale, in the last 48 hours, I'm hearing people say, wait a minute, y'all need to speak up. Y'all need to tell us the truth about DEI, about what's going on with immigration. It's jumping across the country. The problem is too many of us are not speaking up. We don't have the courage. We don't have the tenacity. And I'm saying if you are not courageous enough or have enough belief, then you ought not be in a position that requires real leadership. Let's take a break. I'm going to start taking your calls on the hearings around confirmation, as well as the executive order against South Africa, and whatever else is on your mind. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me, and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
Racial discord, a blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself. and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustling, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
Smile. telling the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body. If he woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how he started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King say, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepped into the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. Yeah. One more time. I want to say this song. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Pick it up. God has smiled on me. I feel it. Then I went on backstage at the Apollo Theater and I saw a man come out. They call him the King of Soul, James Brown. And James Brown said, Reverend, don't you worry. I started out as a shoe shine boy. I started out as a convict. I started out uneducated. But I learned to sing my song. And I sung it all over the world. I told him it was a man's world. I told him about the big payback. I told him Papa got a brand new bag. And all over the world, they can hear my voice. But Reverend, don't you frown. Don't you bow your head. Tell him what you told me, Brother Brown. I said, now God has smiled on me.
I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Twitter.com, The Rev Al. Twitter.com, The Rev Al. Or live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net or on YouTube at NAN. And I'm reading your posts, your comments on live stream, and of course taking your calls on radio. Let me say by way of announcements, don't forget Politics Nation every weekend. Don't miss a weekend without checking out Politics Nation at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday and Sundays. And I make sure that I have the best and the brightest and the people in the middle of things. The reason I have a lot of governors and senators and I get good guests is because I don't put people on my show that just want to rap and give commentary. I want to talk to people that can tell my audience, what are they doing? Why are they doing it? Why are y'all not doing certain things? And what does it mean to us? A lot of shows just like to get people that talk smart, you know, academicians, professors and all that. And that's good. But I want to talk about people that got beyond theory. I want you in the Senate. What's going on? You in the Congress. What's happening? Governor, you over the state. Why did this go down? And some people that are active. And then some policy people that have been involved. So make sure you watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton every Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. You in the tri-state area, Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, meet me at the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. every Saturday morning. And you can be there, you can be energized, you can get involved in what we're doing, not just be a radio revolutionary call or go now to the comment line on my live stream and say a lot of stuff, and then you're not involved in nothing. So be a part of it. And all you have to do is come 9 a.m. to 11. I'm there every Saturday morning right there in Harlem, 145th and Lenox. You that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television, or you can listen on WBLS 107.5 in FM in New York. And we're getting ready for the National Action Network Convention. I'm already confirming some major speakers and plenary sessions and debates. One of the things we coming out, the theme of the convention this year is being a light in dark times. We're gonna come out of here labeling, naming the companies that we want to boycott, that we want to stop spending money, and why, with a strategy on which ones we know we can impact. Some people are already doing some, and that's good. I'm not against anybody. Somebody said I'd call for a day blackout. No, I didn't, but fine. If people want to do that, that's good. I've not called for that yet. My call will be at the convention, April 2nd through the 5th, at the Sheraton, New York, Times Square, 2nd through the 5th. So, and again, I'm not against anybody that wants to do something now. And I hope they work, but just don't say I call it. What I've called is these 90 days to be at the convention so we can give out when we announce who we going after, how we going to do it, where we going to do it, and why we going to do it. Other than we've already started boycotts, going to shop at stores that say we're going to stay with DEI, which is Costco's has been one. All right, let's go to the phones. Let's hear from the people. Let me go to DD in Arizona. DD in Arizona, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Fan of yours, and I am complying with the boycott and shopping at Costco as well. And I'm chiming in on as an immigration advocate here in the southwestern part of the United States. With regard to the white South Africans are the only refugees Trump welcomes. And as an immigration advocate, I just think it points further to what I've detected in my gut. I am a woman of faith, a woman of God. And I just think that the rise of Christian nationalism is reaching a fever pitch. And one of the other reasons why I wanted to call you is because of cultural appropriation with my people, the Chicano people. And cultural appropriation is being allowed under the corporate leadership of Hearst magazines. They've allowed a temporary licensee holder of Lowrider magazine who is Anglo, and he's being allowed to rewrite history, exploit the Chicano community. And I've been sounding the alarm. Wait a minute,
he's been rewriting history. How? And what is his outlet to rewrite history?
The official Lowrider magazine pages, social media networks that are under Hearst magazines. Hearst magazines recently acquired Motor Trend from Warner Brothers Discovery, and he's being allowed to rewrite our history, the Chicano history.
Wow.
And what's worse, Reverend, is he is unashamed to be Republican, and the large demographic of lowrider attendees to these lowrider car shows are Mexican American, and 33% of the Mexican Americans out of the entire Hispanic population probably voted for Trump. I'm not a Trumper, but almost 70% voted for Harris. The media likes to lump in all the Hispanics together, but we're not. We're different than the Cuban voter who voted almost 60% for Trump. And so he's a Republican, unashamed. He's exploiting the Mexican-American Chicano community, and all of this is being allowed under Hearst magazines. And I wanted to know what your advice would be for me as I tackle cultural appropriation.
Now, how is this business functioning? Is there a way that the Chicano community has economic leverage on him, or is there some business associations with county or city funds that you could raise questions on as taxpayers? How do you allow this man to do this and still function? I think your leverage points is either being able to move consumers or move contracts.
All we're doing now is boycotting him because not very many people know that he's an Anglo exploiting our community and taking advantage.
All right, I'll tell you what. Hold on a minute. I want her information. Get her information and let some of my Arizona folks in Nan hook up with her. We need to make that known. I did not know that. Thank you for your call. Get me her information. Take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you're very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored. And I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, the Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
I would argue that DEI is a result of those that by law and later by enforcement would not deal with diversity, would not deal with including people of color, gender, sexual orientation, as well as disabled. And the conscious effort by government and the private sector to begin to equalize the opportunities of this country was something that makes it more humane and fair for all of us. To DEI diversify is not based on the lack of merit. We could not show our merit because we were extremely pompous conservatives that talk about we want a society based on merit. Well then, if it's based on merit, then why did you discriminate based on race and gender? Until they cut off much of the population and then had merit between white males. That was what they meant, not merit. Let's have real merit, but let's also make up the ground that those of us with merit was not able to compete. One 877-532-5797. Let me read some of our post comments on on our live stream, National Action Network live stream. Thank you, Christopher Jeremiah, saying, thank you for speaking up, Reverend Al. Too many people are checked out or what I believe is fear of having
to be held accountable. That's from Christopher Jeremiah. Then I had Nesbitt wrote, I am glad you stayed in the fight. Yes, I knew the fight you had to win. I was living in Irvington, New Jersey, right by Newark. I know how they treated you. It was horrible, but you stayed. Yeah, I remember that. That's a long time ago, Nesbitt. I did. They killed a young man in Irvington. Might have been the late 70s, early 80s. We went out there, and that's when I still had my youth group. This is before National Action Network. And they act like I was the plutonic plague coming out there. But we fought, and we still in there, and this is, 40 years later, I'm still in the fight. Let's go to Liz in Texas. Liz, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Great. Thank you for all that you're doing. Reverend Sharpton, I don't know what I'll say would be acceptable or not, but I didn't read Project 2025. We have so much coming at us every day, but it reminds me of a chess game. Why can't we have a think tank group? And that's to address all the problems that may be coming, all the problems that are coming. And you don't and when you're playing chess, you don't let your opponent know you move.
Right.
But you're prepared for the move. And you're prepared not only for the move, but you're prepared for what your opponent might do if you make a certain move. And that's everything, just like with voting rights and the purging of the of voters. If we knew that was coming, or if you don't know it's coming, we should have something there. If they make this move, then we should be prepared to make this move, because that's all I'm saying. Have people ready to move, but we need a group that will address all of the problems that's immediate and those for further down the road, because they're going to keep coming. But I just appreciate what all you all are doing. And I don't know what group that I can fit in, what group that I can help with, but I would be willing. We need an action group.
Where are you at? You're in.
I'm in Texas.
We got part of Nan in Texas. Let me get our information so I can have the Texas National Action Network folks get in touch with her. I like that, Liz. Want to get involved? I like that. Let me on the comments online said. Janelle Christmas says, Reverend Al just tried to call. Please tell me why people refuse to succeed when the majority is trying to unlive the minorities. Why won't they just get ahead of the game and succeed? All right, that's that opinion. I see, is that the real Melba Moore? It says Melba Moore, Al Sharpton. I know the great Tony Award winning Melba Moore, very good friend of me and the family. I don't know if that's her, but thank you all. I'm reading as we go. Let me go back to the phones. Let me go to San Diego, California, to Emily. Emily, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hi, Al. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. 2 questions. Do you think this is Bible prophecy coming because we didn't elect who he thinks he's king? And they said something in Revelations about a king. But you think is this just prophecy happening?
I think that most of the things that we see has been prophesied, but I do not think that justifies. See, I think a lot of people use prophecy, Emily, to say, well, it just was supposed to happen. No, it was not supposed to happen if you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And I think we cannot use prophecy as a cop-out. But I also think that there's the prophetic word that tells us there will always be challenges. And like I spoke at that church last night, that, for every Goliath, the question is, where are the Davids? Are you going to stand up? David didn't say, it prophesied there'd be giants. He went and got a slingshot. So the end of the story is not there. Yes, Trump is in power, has awesome, gigantic power. Now, where the Davids that's going to get a slingshot and stand up to him? I got mine,
Right.
and I'm challenging
Right,
people to
and
get
I
there.
think if we all do our part, we can whoop him.
I know we can. Thank you for
And
your
then
call.
the
You
second
got to remember, I'm
question
going to let
was-
you go to the second question. When you say we can whip them because we already did. We beat them in 20. I don't know why people act like Trump can't be beat. He lost re-election. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think we're going to get Kamala back. It's just a matter of when.
I think she has a lot still to offer. She is, I think she just turned 60, which is young. Trump is 78, going to be 79 years old. She's 18, 19 years younger than him. If he can run the country or run the country in the ground at that age, I mean, come on. So I think that Kamala has a lot to offer. We should not think we've seen the last of Kamala Harris. But thank you for your call. And let's go to, let me go to Rick in Germany. Rick, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good day, Reverend Al.
Good day.
Thank you to your producer and board op for taking my call. First, let me say, the day before Valentine's Day, and in the positive aspects of the number 13, it's Black Love Day down in D.C. and their radio DMV. Second, on the invitation of South African whites to the U.S., recall that George H.W. Bush and Bill Clinton brought white South Africans to the U.S. between 1992 and 96, settling many in Texas. So this is not new. This is the continuation of that. On to my main topic, Mr. Musk. This man is positioning himself and his corporate heirs to build the infrastructure for the electric car, not only in America, but around the world. Tesla, at the moment, is a failure, but he has more plans. Mars ain't going to happen. The science fact, not the science fiction, the science fact is against us colonizing Mars. They may send somebody to peep around, 1 or 2, maybe 4 people they may send to take a look and land on Mars, but that's no big deal. We can't all live on the moon. We can't all live on Mars. It's not going to happen. Facing doomsday, one of the things he plans is to build a viable hybrid electric car. And let me say in closing, people, take care of your health. Less coffee, no cigarettes if possible. Reduce your meat, and no alcohol if you can. Brother man, I'm done.
All right, thank you for your call. Let me go to Los Angeles to Fixico. Fixico, I hadn't heard from you in a minute. Fixico.
Oh, yes, blessings to you, Reverend Sharpton, and congratulations on your Costco action. I went there and shopped immediately.
Thank you.
I'm still retired as an activist due to health and income resources and other. However, will do a educational presentation at the library. I called today to share my personal insight about President Trump's plans for Gaza. Don't underestimate him. He's an expert on presidential history of those presidents that appeal to him. He is completely serious about Gaza. President Trump's hero was Andrew Jackson, who created the 1830 Indian Removal Act that said that Indian nations in the southwestern part of the United States were to be removed west of the Mississippi. You can see a parallel there. I'm related to 3 of the members of the 5 civilized tribes, and they were Cherokee, Creek, Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Seminole. The Cherokee won a lawsuit in the Supreme Court that legally allowed them to stay on their land. That's Rochester versus Georgia. However, President Andrew Jackson said, and you're going to be hearing this, that Chief Justice has made his ruling now. Let's see him enforce it.
Right.
And he sent the army to kick the Indians out upon the Trail of Tears. I think that President Trump no longer needs the Supreme Court with the military in some instances. And President Jackson converted the abandoned Indian land into cotton country worked by enslaved blacks. Love you so much. And thank
Love you. Glad to hear your voice. Let's take a break. Be right back. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
Country, talking to the radio announcers, the church people and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body. If He woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how he started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King say, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepping to the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God done smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. Yeah. One more time. I want to say real song. I'll say God has smiled on me. He has set And she said, son, even though we don't have much, we don't need relief. All we need is belief. And she said, he didn't tell you no lie, because the Lord will take care of you. God sits high, but he looks down low. And every time you get discouraged, every time you're burdened down, all you have to do is think of the things that God made a way for you and look toward the heavens. Lift your eyes to the hills and say, God, 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 don't smile on me. Now then, God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God has smiled on me. And that has been so good to me. Yes, he has. I say, God smiled on me. He has set me free. And I know all over the country, smile on me. We need jobs. We need a way to make it. We need help. We need jobs. We need a way to make some money to feed our families and raise our bread. We need a way to survive, so we don't need crime as a survival kit. We just need a little bit. But don't give the hope up. Don't lose the faith, because God will smile on you. God will give you the strength. God will make a way for you. Adam Great Powell said, keep the faith. Keep the faith, baby. I hear Robert Kennedy saying that it's not the dream of, but it's the dream that'll live on forever. Just know that God will smile on you. Dr. King had a dream. Dr. King said, I went to the mountaintop, but I didn't stop there. I looked over and saw the promised land. I hear Brother Malcolm saying, don't sit on the stoop. Stand up and be a man. Respect yourself. Be somebody. Then I hear the brothers in the Hispanic community say, I'm going to stand up and be a man. I'm going to do the best I can. I had a reaper say, I don't care what time you come home, but just give me some respect when you get there. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. God smiled on me. You've been so good to me. Sit down. And as we move on in history, let us remember that if we look to God, God has an answer to all of our problems. God is still the same God he was years ago, and we can still make it. We can still hold on like Frederick Douglass did. We can still keep him on like Martin Luther King did. We can still ride on the way everyone that made it did. They didn't have much, but they had a whole lot of faith. They didn't have money, but they had a lot of determination. We know that God will look out for his children, that God will make a way out of no way if you just keep the faith and refuse to lose. And God will make a way, because God's children don't have color. God's children just have will. And I can still hear somewhere in my mind James Brown say, God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me sing here.
The families, we have 3 families represented here. Where we have Eric Nickerson, who your NAB member, Rodney Nickerson is his father. We have both Lisa and Trevor, who lost their mother, and then we have Evelyn and her children and family. We was out here on the news that Evelyn McClendon's mother. And so we're one.
Let's pray. Dear God, we come brokenhearted, but still with firm belief that there is meaning to everything that you allow. Give us the strength to stand even amidst this debris and to rebuild and to stand up to the challenge. And that we come to help these families as we have been anointed by you to be helpful. Stand with the clergy and others in this community and the leaders here to know that they're not alone. And let us not go for vanity, but for sanity.
Yes.
And to redeem this community as an example to people all over the world, that you may be burned down, but you're not burnt out, and that you will make a way out of nowhere.
His blessings we ask on each and every one of these people, even when the cameras are gone, that you still shine a light of mercy on them. These blessings we ask in your name. Amen. How should we have gotten free?
Sharpton keeps it real.
Because you're raising things that you haven't thought out. There were slave rebellions that did. All right, then give me the answer. You haven't answered me yet. If you thought it out, give me the answer.
Asking the tough questions.
Well, see, here's the thing. I called him a statement. Now you.
No, but I'm questioning your statement. You can question mine. You can question any statement I make. You can question any statement. Whoa. You can question any statement I make, but you cannot call here and tell me don't question the statement you make, brother.
Fellas gonna work it out. Be a part of the conversation. Just keep it real. Live from the National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York, keeping it real. And now, America's #1 civil rights leader, the Reverend Al.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, 1-877-532-5797. Twitter.com, The Rev Al, or go to nationalactionnetwork.net. Watch us live stream and put in a comment as you watch the show, or go to YouTube, N-A-N, YouTube Nan. I'm looking at our comments. Nesbitt writes me, God has prepared a table in front of your enemies. Bless keeping it real. I appreciate that, Nesbitt. I really do. Don't forget, Saturdays and Sundays, to watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. Don't miss with all of this going on, and I have people that are right in the thick of it, senators, governors, clergymen. With all this going on, you can't afford to miss this weekend show to let you know what's happening. You know, Donald Trump is methodical. They like to do things late Friday. So go on a weekend where they think people are not paying attention. Well, we have a lot of people pay attention to my show, and you ought to be one of them. 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. You that are in the tri-state area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice, 145th Street, Lenox Avenue in Harlem, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. in Harlem, Saturday morning, every Saturday morning. I'll be there this Saturday. We cannot afford being under attack as we are not to meet and energize and really exchange the information. I'm looking for you from the tri-state area this Saturday, 9 to 11, House of Justice in Harlem, 145th and Lenox. And then you that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television or live on nationalactionnetwork.net live stream. We on live stream on Saturdays as well. And we're gearing up. I want Lottie Dottie and everybody signing up for National Action Network's convention. That's where we're going to lay out our strategy for boycott, lay out our strategy for the midterm elections, talk about how we build black businesses. Some of our top black business people will be there on our women, have our clergy summit, all of it free. All you have to do is go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, sign up now. Sign up so you're on early so you can make every one of the workshops you want. If you're only in a day, you get sign up early, you got priority. If you can only stay 2 days, same thing. Sign up now. Hundreds have already signed up. So don't say I got time, because people are signing up, and it's April the 2nd through the 5th here in New York. It's free. All right, let me go to Golden Nugget in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The Golden Nugget.
Good afternoon, Brother Sharpton. How you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Good, man. I just want to drop 2 gold nuggets. Number one is Donald Trump is out of his rabbit mind, and so is Elon Musk. You know, he's talking about going over in Gaza and taking over Gaza. Don't that man understand that you can't mess with them Palestinians, and that's the Holy Lands over in that area, and he ain't got no business being over there, number one. Number two is there's sleeper cells right here in the United States. In other words, right in our backyard.
That's correct.
He talking about going over. He talking about going. This man crazy, man. He talking about going over to Gaza. Boy, you got Palestinians in your backyard that ain't playing. Them people ain't playing about that Holy Land over there. You need to stay up out of it and keep us up out of it.
Yep.
Another thing I want to say, Brother Al, is I'm wondering where are all our elite.
John Smith.
Okay, our sports figures and entertainers and movie stars, why they see what's going on just as we do, why aren't they collaborating amongst themselves to go in certain areas, like Philadelphia, Atlanta, and places like that, and start building? Because one thing I know about the white man, and that is this: he will never, ever respect us unless he sees us respecting ourselves as a whole. So it's a good thing that we plan. I think the boycott is on, and I plan to be a part of that, is on February 28th. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think somebody called it. I didn't. Our boycott we're going to announce in April, but I'm not against February 28th, but I didn't call that boycott. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm on both of those, but what I want to say is that what I want to say to our culture, our people, is that it's getting later on in the evening. We can't be playing no games because they're not playing no games. Enough of the shenanigans. It's about getting down to a business and being about our culture, our people, because we got these babies that we have to worry about. We got little children and grandchildren that will suffer from all of this stuff that's going on. So it's time to get the house in order. It's later on in the evening. The chickens are coming home to roost, and we better be in position. That's all I got today.
All right. Thank you for your call. Let me read from the comments online, and one caller, Daryl Prunty, says, I look at Politics Nation and Nan's House of Justice Saturdays faithfully. Thank you, Daryl. That's great to hear that you do that. And John Smith is watching from Columbus, Ohio. He's asking, how is Jesse Jackson doing? And many of you know Jesse Jackson was and is my mentor. And he's been suffering from Parkinson's. And I check in just about every day with one of his sons or one of his attendants. He's has good days and bad days, but he refuses to stop. And he's still, his speech is impeded and he can't walk. But he sends me messages and he's still very much alert on what's going on. And I'm glad you asked. I owe a lot of my training to Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, no doubt about it. And John White is posting, good afternoon, Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton and Nan. We are fighting down here in Mississippi. All right, glad that Mississippi is fighting and watching on live stream. Let's go to Alan in Baltimore, Maryland, WOLB. Alan?
How you doing, Reverend Al? Sit back and give me knowledge, and I listen to you every day, but I don't call every day. Let me ask you something. You're from New York, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you went to Altadena to help them with that forest fire, them fires down there, did you talk to Kamala Harris, the vice president?
I did talk to her while I was in Altadena. No, I didn't.
Right, and she didn't call Kathy Hughes, and she's spearheading that we uplift the black community. That's what I'm saying. Let me ask you something. You from New York? New York has a governor that is a woman. Would you vote for Kathy Hochul or Kamala Harris? Because you did say that Kathy Hochul last year is entertaining reparation. And 2028 or 2026 is right around the corner. I would ask Hillary to get with Kathy Hochul and said that competition is good. If Kamala Harris didn't get with you like Altadena, knowing them people suffering out there, she's just like those superstars and those agents out there. You said they got to get permission through their agents. That what she waiting on? She's supposed to be black. So this is what I'm saying, that if it was today.
Yeah, well, I don't know, to be fair.
Go ahead.
To be fair, Alan, I don't know. She has not gone to Altadena or is not there with. She wasn't there when I was there, but I do know that she was doing some touring, and I don't know if the part of her tour was not in Altadena.
Let me say this right here. You know, Eric Adams is in a pickle, or like a pigeonhole. Donald Trump said, "I don't want to go out to Eric Adams. I want him to carry out my immigrations." What do you call it? His program of
for about migrants. Yeah, no, it was unprecedented. You hit something very important. The reason I came out the way I did is if Trump pardoned people that beat law enforcement officers up on tape, pardoned them, called them hostages, and then he said they had the Justice Department say, well, Adams, we going to cancel want you to drop the charges for now without prejudice. Means you can pick them back up later. We want him to work with the president on immigration and on violent crime, which means if he does what we want on violent crime, which is going back to stop and frisk and others, and if he does what we want with migrants, we'll leave him alone. If not, we can always pull this back. They didn't do that to anybody but him. And I think it's absolutely unfair to him, but it is even as fair or more to our city. How do you have a mayor that you tell them in writing, Department of Justice stationary, they got to do policy stuff as part of the reason you want to drop the charges? It's unheard of. And I'm friends with Eric Adams for 35 years, but I'm going to speak what I believe. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, 1-877-532-5797. Be right back. And rise. I spoke last night.
The issues, the stories affecting you. Now here's the news.
Courage and reconciliation at the historic St. John the Divine Cathedral, the main cathedral of the Episcopal Church here in New York. But it was an ecumenical service of all faiths to seek courage at this very tumultuous time in the United States and even in the city of New York. And people of all faiths addressed it. I gave the closing remarks. And as I sat in that grand cathedral, I thought about how in the midst of these storms raging from the national administration to what's going on at City Hall in New York and city halls across the country, that we must have the courage, both in what we engage in what's going on in the political landscape and the social setting, but even in our personal life, the courage to stand up for what we believe and what we stand for, and not be in any way infected or affected by the calamities around us. St. Paul talked about a peace beyond all understanding. When you have the courage to stand up for who you are and who you know you are and who you know you were born to be, it'll give you a peace even in the storm. While others react, you can continue to act. You can continue to move forward in your own growth, because you know these times, these things will pass too. And you will look back one day in the rearview mirror of these tumultuous times and still have advanced in your growth and development, and see these times in the rearview mirror, and that you did not get lost in the stormy times, but you drove through the storms. You are allowed to evolve despite others' versions of you. You are allowed to evolve and not get trapped in not only the times in which we're in, but in the versions people have of who you are and who you are not, and your limitations and your flaws. You evolve to, you are permitted to evolve beyond that. You're not handicapped or bound to the perceived limitations others impose on you. Grow anyhow, and be at peace with your growth. Be at peace with knowing that you weren't meant to spend your life just fixing the past, the wounds, the hurts, the disappointments. You weren't born to just fix the past, nor to react to just what may come at us at a daily basis. They are just trying their best to keep throwing things at us, and you must, with the peaceful resolve of who you are and as you are going to continue to grow in it, you are focused on creating your future, who you were born to become, and observe others, but observe them from your growing station in life. And that is why you must engage very seriously and faithfully with a spiritual setting and an intellectual setting every morning as you go through your day. And then, as I do, I get up, I've already done my prayer and meditation. So I'm anchored in who I am and why I am, and seeking to grow even more into it as the day goes by. I will go down to the gym and work out to have my body sharp and move on. So whatever the world has for me, I have something for the world. And so do you. Be at peace with it. And don't just react to what's coming your way. They're loading the zone of information and just boom, 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 boom. Don't just react. Act on you and what you're about.
Your families. We have 3 families represented here. Where we have Eric Nicholson, who your NAB member, Rodney Nicholson is his father. We have both Lisa and Trevor, who lost their mother, and then we have Evelyn and her children and family. You belong with Zyro, the news that Evelyn McClendon's home. And so we're one.
Let's pray. Dear God, we come brokenhearted, but still with firm belief that there is meaning to everything that you allow. Give us the strength to stand even amidst this debris and to rebuild and to stand up to the challenge. And that we come to help these families as we have been anointed by you to be helpful stand with the clergy and others in this community and the leaders here to know that they're not alone. And let us not go for vanity, but for sanity.
Yes.
And to redeem this community as an example to people all over the world, that you may be burned down, but you're not burnt out, and that you will make a way out of nowhere. These blessings we ask on each and every one of these people, even when the cameras are gone, that you still shine a light of mercy. These blessings we ask in your name. Amen. I would argue that DEI is a result of those that by law and later by enforcement would not deal with diversity, would not deal with including people of color, gender, sexual orientation, as well as disabled. And the conscious effort by government and the private sector to begin to equalize the opportunities of this country was something that makes it more humane and fair for all of us. To DEI diversify. It's not based on the lack of merit. We could not show our merit because we were extremely pompous conservatives that talk about we want a society based on
Rev, you live.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real.
Keeping it real.
I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, 1-877-532-5797, and we're on live stream now. This is our second week, and you can go to www.National Action Network live stream or go to our YouTube page, NAN YouTube, and I'm getting a lot of messages. In fact, let me read a couple of posts on our live stream page. It says from Annette Annie. Annette Annie says, blessings, Reverend Al. I have been following you since the 70s. You always stand up for righteousness and against injustice, always speaking truth to power. And I know you are a longtime friend of Eric Adams, but I hope and pray that you will stay true to the word. And I'm saying that. I've said I'm a friend of Eric Adams, but I do not agree with making no deal that's going to make you have to do something that the president wants you to do. I think it's unprecedented for them to put in a letter to the Southern District from the Justice Department to drop the charges without prejudice, which means you can pick them back up because we need him. In essence, they say we need him work with us on immigration and violent crime, which is stop and frisk. I think they made him a hostage. I'm not saying Eric Adams wrote the letter or he's responsible for the letter, but he's in that predicament. And I'm not going to let that pass. And I think that the Trump administration, Donald Trump pardoned men on tape that beat policemen on Capitol Hill, in the U.S. Capitol building on January 6th, some that urinated on members of Congress' desks. He pardoned them, called them hostages, had them sing in the choir. And he's going to have this letter with these kind of stipulations? No, I'm not going for it. I'm not going to be silent about it. But thank you for your call. Let me go to Frank. Said, Reverend Al, Reverend Al, did I hear right that the AG is suing the governor of New York for immigration laws when two Republican governors spearheaded transport immigrants to sanctuary cities? Yeah, you heard it right. He's suing Governor Kathy Hochul, and they're suing the state attorney general, Tish James, on that. Let me bring on, as we have every Thursday for the last 90 minutes of the show, the the CEO of the Protestant Welfare Agencies in New York, and the vice chairman of the national board of the National Action Network, Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin. How you doing, Jenny?
I'm doing well, and I'm good. Doing all right, thank God.
Now, let me get two things from you before we go back to the phones and to the comments online. The lawsuits, the civil suits that was filed by the Justice Department against the governor of New York, since Frank just commented on that on my live stream page, and against the state attorney general. What is the complaint? What is the exposure the state of New York has and the governor and the attorney general?
So essentially, what they are claiming is that the Department of Justice is claiming that Hochul, and who's our governor, and Letitia James, our attorney general, are not enforcing Donald Trump's immigration orders, executive orders. It's a concern that they're not going to comply with the federal government with his orders. And so essentially, let me back up and also add, though, because some people don't know this. New York State has some very strict rules around immigration. New York City is considered a sanctuary city, which means, in short, that when the federal government comes to enforce immigration to take people out, New York City doesn't have to immediately turn over people. Now, that is a state law ruling, a judicial ruling, which in part is what implicates the state, meaning that it wasn't something that was created by legislation in the city. It came through court proceedings. And so the city has this sanctuary law that says they don't have to turn everybody over to the federal government. They don't have to provide data about people who may be here illegally. They don't have to, just because ICE says, show me this person or let me in to a school, a church, or wherever, they don't have to automatically do it. This is what a sanctuary city is. And so what the U.S. Attorney General is now doing is suing the state and the city, saying, they're suing the state, the Attorney General, and the governor, saying, you all aren't going to abide, or you're threatening that you're going to keep the sanctuary rules in effect. You're saying you're going to keep on sheltering people. We're going to come at you, and we're going to sue you civilly. We will actually take damages from you. We will withhold money from you if you do not comply with the president's orders for mass deportation. In some ways, it may be a preemptive strike, because they're not yet saying that they actually haven't complied, but they went to hit Chicago, and now they're saying they're coming to New York. So they may be able to show some evidence where the city, the state have not yet complied, but it's really more of a preemptive strike.
Let's get your view on the Department of Justice instruction to the Southern District around Mayor Adams that we were just talking about.
Very, very, very disappointing, very disturbing. I'll quickly tell you that word just came in that we're beginning to see the exodus, the departure of prosecutors in the Southern District who worked on this case. The short of it is that the case was not, Donald Trump and his cronies did not direct the Southern District to dismiss the charges with any merit because of merit. They are not saying that there's no strength to the case. They're not saying that Eric Adams, that there's no evidence to suggest or support the charges that he committed some crimes. Rather, they're simply saying, we need him to do Donald Trump's bidding and to enforce his immigration orders, and for that matter, anything else that Donald Trump may require of Eric Adams. And we know that because the order is without prejudice, meaning that at any point in time, if Eric Adams does not comply with Donald Trump's immigration orders or perhaps any other orders in a way that satisfies Donald Trump and his executive branch, he could at any point in time ask the Southern District to reinstate the orders. So we are essentially now beholden to the president as a city. I said recently, just the other day, that essentially, whether he was put in a hard place or not, our mayor has turned the keys to the city of New York over to Donald Trump to be mayor of the city and to run New York City, because at any point in time he can take the offer that he's provided to Eric Adams to take him off the hook and not have him stand trial. He can reinstate those charges. So Eric better stay in line and do what Eric, our mayor, need be done.
Yeah, well, I think they even went further in the letter saying they're not, and I'm quoting the letter, everything you said and I said was in the letter, but they also said, we're not addressing the guilt or innocence. So they're saying they're not saying he's innocent. They said that in the letter. And
right, and so I believe that's intentional to let our mayor know that, they're not playing with him. They didn't give him a gift. They didn't give him a get out of jail free card.
Right.
They're letting him know that at any point in time, if you cross the line and you don't do what we want you to do, we're going to reinstate those charges and you're going to trial, and possibly you could go to prison.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back. You on the phones and on live stream. Sharpton, Jones Austin. Be right back. For victims of this wildfire tragedy. And the plane circled around the skies over New York. And I looked down and saw a statue that they brought me as a child going to public schools in Brooklyn, of a statue called Liberty that had inscribed in it, "Bring me your huddled masses that yearn to be free." And I thought about how now places of sanctuary, churches, hospitals, are now being told they can be invaded for those that were invited here by those that claimed the country would stand for freedom. We come tonight saying that we must have the courage to stand up for what this country has represented for centuries. There was a battle once between the Philistines and the Israelites. Those that were trained about battle, those that had war training, were afraid to face the giant of Goliath. But a shepherd boy who'd never been to boot camp, who'd never been trained, had the courage to stand up and fight Goliath. And we pray tonight that we would have our little David in all of us. We may not have the powers of the state, but we all have a slingshot and a few smooth stones. And if we would stand up and use what God has given each of us, we can take down the giants. Because Paul wrote the Ephesians saying, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers, principalities of darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places. So we come to say, no matter how we worship God, we're on the Lord's side. And if we would stand up with courage, the Lord will be on our side. Let us pray. Dear God, we thank you for giving us a mind to stand together despite whatever way we worship you, despite whatever way we manifest through our races or nationalities. You've given us the mind to serve those as you have served us. Now bless us to have courage to know that no matter who sits in high places of government, that you still sit on the throne, and you will bless those that bless the least of these, and you will give us the strength and courage to stand up even in times of meanness and wickedness. And we'll be careful not to ego trip or be arrogant, but we'll give you the praise for giving us the courage to do what needs to be done in these times. These blessings we ask. Amen.
that DEI is a result of those that by law and later by enforcement would not deal with diversity, would not deal with including people of color, gender, sexual orientation, as well as disabled. And the conscious effort by government and the private sector to begin to equalize the opportunities of this country was something that makes it more humane and fair for all of us. To DEI, diversify, is not based on the lack of merit. We could not show our merit because we were extremely pompous conservatives that talk about we want a society based on merit. Well then, if it's based on merit, then why did you discriminate based on race and gender until they cut off much of the population and then had merit between white males? That was what they meant, not merit. Let's have real merit, but let's also make up the ground that those of us with merit was not able to compete. They got Kendrick Lamar singing. I hope Kendrick looks right up at Trump and sings, "He's not one of us." The name of the song is "They Not Like Us." No, I want him to make it personal. He's not like us. Making it they like us, they may think it ain't. I'm talking about him. Let's be clear. We can be equal on the football field. We can be equal on the basketball court to make money for the advertising. But we can't be equal in the corporate suites of the advertising. So I can carry a ball for you, but my son or daughter can't go in the corporate suite being enforced by DEI because they were excluded because of you. That's why we gonna boycott. That's why we gonna buy from those that support us like Costco. If I'm good enough to make your money, I'm good enough to decide where the money gonna go. Yeah, he's right. You lost your fire and you lost your mind. We got 60 blacks in the Congress. Black mayors all over the country. And you standing around talking about, I don't know why Sharpton talk about boycott. When we had no people in Congress, when we had no black mayors, we shut down bus companies. We shut down Woolworths. We shut down A&P because we had dignity and we had pride and we had integrity. But you've lost that. Seven. Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. Let me go to Renee in Michigan. Renee.
Hello, Reverend L. Hello, Attorney Jones. I have a question for each of you.
All right.
Reverend L., why do they call themselves the Christian right when they hate so much and they hateful, don't want anyone else to have anything, don't want nobody to do anything? So that's your question, Reverend L. Attorney Jones, my question is, Dodge, isn't that something Trump and Elon Musk made up? It's not a government department, but these people just, allowing it and going along with it, going to take money for buyouts and everything, and it's something they made up. I thought things supposed to go to Congress and Senate to get approved. So I just want to know why they getting away with it. And part B, how can for Attorney Jones, how can we get rid of Elon Musk? Is there a way that boycott tickets, whatever, the signatures, anything you could think of legally sue? That he can't be there. I mean, he's not from America, and he's telling Trump to do. It's like a cold president. So that's my question.
Go ahead, Attorney.
Okay.
So, what happens with executives in government, whether you're talking about at the president level, at the state level, or at the local level, and the way that this department, DOJ, has been set up, it's not a new cabinet level department. It's something that essentially what Donald Trump is saying is that he took an existing, entity. I think he called it like United States Digital Service or something like that had been created under Obama, and he's just renamed it to be DOJ. And the issue really becomes what actions they take and whether or not they have the legal authority to take them. So one of the issues that was being raised with these whole early retirement was Congress actually sets the appropriations for federal government spending. And what DOJ said was, okay, we're going to give people offers to retire early, and we're going to pay them through September. One of the questions raised there is whether or not they actually have the legal authority to do that, because that's not what Congress approved. The bottom line is that, yes, a president can create task forces, they can create offices, and they can give responsibilities. The funding for that has to be appropriated through Congress. The real issue becomes, in my opinion, what authority does an Elon Musk have to do things in that role, because he's not a government employee. And he's actually right now, he's skating all of the conflict of interest rules by not being an employee. He doesn't have to publicly disclose his finances, and even if and how he might benefit from some of the actions being taken because he's not a federal employee. That's where we should really start getting into questioning what's going on here and how does he get to do this.
And I think that is extremely important. Let me say this. We just got breaking news that the acting Manhattan U.S. Attorney Danielle Sasson has now stepped down after the Trump Department of Justice ordered her to drop charges against Mayor Eric Adams. The acting Manhattan U.S. Attorney stepped down Thursday after President Trump's Department of Justice ordered her office to drop its criminal case against Mayor Eric Adams. The New York Times first reported the Post, and the Post confirmed Danielle Sasson's sudden resignation. So it appears that the woman that was the interim, and she was put there by Trump, by the way, has now quit because they made her drop the charges on Eric Adams. I think that's that's a blow to both Trump and Adams, I think. There's no way you can see that other than that, because she is not a Biden appointee, and she's saying that she quit since y'all going to make me do this.
Reverend Sharpton, if I may say, what happens with us attorneys is that when we, when we go to law school, and we graduate and we pass the bar, we also are required to pass an ethics exam. And the responsibility of an attorney at all times is to uphold ethics in the practice of law. And so when you see something like this, when you have prosecutors who were found themselves with evidence that they had been presented, legitimately bringing an indictment against an individual, when they are being told, disregard the legitimacy of this case, and the reasons why you brought it in and just play on the politics with us, their ethics is going to require many of them say, I'm stepping away from this. The Southern District is heralded as, one of the preeminent government prosecutorial offices across the country, if not the most preeminent, the highest ranking. And so you're going to have people who are going to say, I'm out. I'm out. I'm not going to risk my reputation because we now have the president playing politics with prosecutions.
Yeah, and it really adds more to what we that have raised this have been saying, how unusual and out of whack this is. When you have the head of the office, temporary head of the office, put there by Trump's people now, saying, I'll quit because of this. This it only continues the suspicion at best and stinks in fact. This just broke. I wanted to bring that to you. Let's go to Bishop Manny in Los Angeles. Bishop Manny.
Yes, sir. Reverend Al Sharpton. I am from Atlanta, but I live in Los Angeles. I called to speak about Donald Trump, but when you mentioned your mentor, I got flashbacks. My mentor, you probably knew him. He was Reverend Hosea Williams in Atlanta, Georgia.
Know him very well. Great man.
Okay. Yes, sir. I worked for him, Reverend Sharpton, until I was about 25. Then I came to California. And last but not least, Reverend Jesse Jackson. Man, let me tell you, nobody can preach or speak like Jesse could. I remember in 1995, I went to D.C. I wanted to finally meet him, and he was announcing that he was not running for president. And we were in a protest together, and I got to meet him, and I imitated him, and I had him laughing. And I have to hit you with this. When they were saying that he ran for president just because of high name recognition, Jesse said, I was born on Haney Street to a teenage mother. Nobody knew my name. I just wanted to drop that one.
I like it. I like it. I like it.
Amen. We love you here in L.A., man. I'm a member of the Baptist Ministers Conference. Pastor Toulis talks about you all the time. We love you.
Oh, yeah. He was with me in Altavena last week. Reverend Toulis used to head our chapter there.
I missed it.
Yeah, he used to head National Action Network LA office. Now Reverend Mosley is there. But they both were at the memorial service last week. And I came out, if you remember, and did the installation for Toulis. Yeah, Toulis became the head of the Baptist Ministers Conference in LA. That's right.
You gave him $1,000. I was there. I was real quiet. I house the homeless and feed the hungry. And it's funny how you do what Jesse did. That was your mentor. I do what Hosea did. He had the largest feed the hungry program in Atlanta, and I do the same. In fact, Reverend Toulis and I had a prayer vigil for Mayor Karen Bass when she first won on behalf of the homeless in this city. So, I learned a lot from watching you guys. I'm 51 now, and I'm still learning. And I've never called in to you, but I've been watching you your whole career, and I love you, man.
I love you, Reverend Manning. And let me tell you something. Hosea Williams was a hero to me, even though Jesse was my mentor. Hosea was the ultimate street grassroots activist. Dr. King, they would say, I was too young to know Dr. King, but they say, Dr. King said, if you want to organize a town, send Hosea in there. Hosea go and turn the town upside down, and then I can come in. And what people didn't know, people that are younger that people that are older, I should say, Jenny, that see me with Martin Luther King medallions back in the day. I used to wear that with my tracksuit. Hosea Williams gave me that medallion. That wasn't no hip-hop thing. Hosea Williams gave me that medallion when I was leading the fight in Howard Beach in the late 80s. And I'm sure you know Reverend Bishop Manning, he would give them out only to select people that he felt was in the King tradition. So that wasn't me, being trendy. That, to me, I slept in that medallion first 2 nights Jose gave it to me. For the field marshal, the field general of Dr. King to give me a Martin Luther King medallion was an honor to me. And Hosea would selectively give them out. James Orange would wear one, all the guys around Hosea. People didn't understand Dr. King had several disciples, we'd call it, staff members, Hosea, and he had people that worked with him, followed him, James Orange and others. Andy Young was one. Jesse was one. And it goes on and on. Everybody had a crew under them, but they all submitted to Dr. King. And I think that's what made the movement work. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, right after this. Yeah, this is a big blow there.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They called me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I had to know.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that called me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old, with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
Where Frederick Douglass laid. Don't stand on the ground where Rosa Parks lay, unless you're going to really do what it is we committing to do. Because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against wickedness, principalities, wickedness in high places. I want everyone, if you are resolved, to just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, Al Sharpton, do solemnly commit that I will stand up and rise up in the name of Dr. King, in the name of Frederick Douglass, in the name of Rosa Parks, and I will defend equality for all, diversity, equality, inclusion, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, immigration rights. I commit, I take this oath that I will not become like those I'm fighting. I'm not for violence, but I will peacefully stand against those that want to bring us down. I commit this in the house of God, on this sacred ground. So help me God. Congratulate yourself. While you're standing, I want all the ministers to come. Let's join arms when they would march in the South. They got Kendrick Lamar singing. I hope Kendrick looks right up at Trump and sings, "He's not one of us." The name song is "They Not Like Us." No, I want him to make it personal. He's not like us. Making it they like us, they may think it ain't. I'm talking about him. Let's be clear. We can be equal on the football field. We can be equal on the basketball court to make money for the advertisers. but we can't be equal in the corporate suites of the advertising. So I can carry a ball for you, but my son or daughter can't go in the corporate suite being enforced by DEI because they were excluded because of you. That's why we gonna boycott. That's why we gonna buy from those that support us like Costco. If I'm good enough to make your money, I'm good enough to decide where the money gonna go. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. Let's go. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. Let's go to Gary in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, WURD. Attorney Jones Austin.
Good day. Good day, Mr. Sharpton, and good day, your guest.
Good day.
And good day, Word family. You know, I've been hearing and I like listening to the station because I hear the pulse of the people of African American descent when they're speaking. And it seems like sometimes people look at the gloom and doom side of things. But I like when you pointed out the part about, and I think you did, about David and Goliath.
Right.
You know, so I really think that we need to become those David and Goliaths right about now. But there's a saying that what don't come out Monday's wash comes out in Tuesday's dry. And also, you lay down with dogs, you wake up with fleas. Those are some of the things that my elders taught me and said to me when I was young. I'm from New York, and the thing with the mayor that is there, are the people allowed to impeach him and get him out of office or even march in front of his established office?
Well, they can sure march in front of his established office. What is the legalities of impeachment, Attorney Jones Austin?
You know, I'm going to have to do a little bit of homework on that because I don't really know whether or not New Yorkers, the electorate, can actually impeach their mayor.
Can the city council?
I'm going to do some homework on that.
Yeah, I know the governor can remove him and call a special election, right?
I think, yeah, and I do think, because I think I did some work on this several months back. I do believe that the city council can lean in and do something. Let me spend a few minutes with that, and then I'll come right back to that.
Yep.
Okay, the last thing. The purpose of visiting number 47, I mean, if you not guilty or this alleged thing that he did, why would you be doing that? I mean, that's like presenting your case to a king. So they're giving him, the people that want to get off on certain things, for giving this person who's egotistical a feeling that they're in charge. And we put him in office, or some people did, not myself. But this is like, what are you doing? You know, I mean, if you're not guilty, why are you going through all of these channels to prove that you're innocent when you might actually be proven to people that you're guilty? And that's what I have to say. But the gloom and doom thing, that's not for us. We work with a higher authority to myself. Thank you.
Thank you for your call.
And I just did some quick homework, and it looks like the mayor of New York City cannot be impeached. The governor has the authority, the plenary authority to do so. There's no law that allows for.
Wait a minute. I make sure we understand. He cannot be impeached, or he can be impeached by the governor.
Based on what I'm reading and just looking at the city council laws, it does not appear that the city council can move on its own to impeach the mayor.
But he can be removed by the governor.
He can be removed by the governor.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that information. Let's go to my man, my workout buddy, Percy Johnson. Percy Johnson in Detroit, labor leader extraordinaire. Percy, how is your wife, first of all?
Well, she's looking to come out on the 20th, but then some other things is coming up that's kind of giving her a challenge too, man. So just keep her lifted up.
Yeah, I definitely. She's in my prayers.
You know, Hey man, and I got this song ringing in my ear, man. God has lifted me.
Yeah, that's I got on the live stream during the commercials,
Yeah.
Jenny, I play the song James Brown and I did in 1979 where he had me preaching and James Brown singing. It's the only recording he did doing gospel like that. And we never got it out, but I kept the masters and
Wow.
I play it. So a lot of people that when they watch live stream can hear the song in between, me coming back on live.
Well, can we release it now?
I don't know. I'd probably have to talk to his estate, but maybe, yeah.
You should check Reverend Al, because I tell you, man, it's catching, man. And when I first heard it, so I heard it when you first started doing it.
Right.
And I said, that sounds like Al. And then as your daughter came on the next day, she said, yeah, well, we playing this with my father. And I said, I thought that was Reverend Al. And then to find out you were singing with James Brown. I'm like, yeah, man, put that out, man. But I got a question for Jennifer Austin. And Miss Austin, and man, look, Al, let me tell you, my first NAN convention that I went to, Jennifer Austin and Attorney Harvey treated me like a brother, man. I said right in the middle of both of them during the convention, and Miss, I always have a special heart for you, Miss. You really treated me like a brother. You didn't even know me.
Wow.
But you treated me
You
quite
are a
well.
brother.
Yeah, and Reverend and Harvey, he made sure that I was able to attend the breakfast and stuff. He just bottom line, y'all good heart. Bless your heart. Y'all got good hearts. Bottom line,
You bless me.
Yeah. The love is there. The love is there. So the question that I have, so I'm hearing, is it true that is there 3 House seats that are coming up before April in our U.S. Senate? I mean, our U.S. House reps? Are there any elections coming up for them this year?
I think that there are some special elections. It may be 3. I know there's one in New York with Stefanik, because she's going on to be the UN ambassador. And
is she a Republican or Democrat?
She's a Republican. She's a Republican.
So is there a chance that we could get 3 seats?
Yeah.
Turn flip?
Yeah. And with the others out, you got I think there's only like a 1 or 2 seat majority until they fill those seats. Now, don't forget we got a special election for the senator in Florida because Rubio is now Secretary of State, and that's open. So there's some inroads that they can make.
And it's then so more conversation need to be, drumbeat need to be on that, where we can possibly slow them down with pushing that, and that's where our Democrat leadership need to get on that, man, and start getting people ready. We can slow this stuff down this year.
Absolutely.
With what they're doing with having the majority. So that conversation needs to be put out more for me.
I totally agree. Totally. All right. Thank you for your call. Always good to hear your voice. My man, Percy Johnson. Again, our prayers are with your wife. Let me go to Barbara in New York. Barbara, you're on Keeping It Real with Sharpton and Jones Austin.
Hello, Reverend. Now, thank you for your service and all you've done for the black community and others.
Thank you.
My question is around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it really hurts me when I hear that because, as you pointed out, diversity, equity, and inclusion never meant that the person wasn't qualified. In fact, most of the times it likely means they're overqualified.
Right.
But what really comes to my mind is the military. How come the president hasn't acted towards DEI in terms of the military? Because they're probably still recruiting actively minorities. And I'm wondering, how are they going to feel if I'm a young male, 20 years old, and I was thinking about joining the military, and now you're saying abandon DEI, and you're enacting all of these initiatives that unravel all that we fought for during the civil rights era and all of the work that you've done, and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and all the others. Are we thinking about that?
I think you're making a great point.
If I was a 20-year-old male, I would not enlist. And the last time I checked, the Army was 50% brown people.
It's definitely got an overwhelming amount of people in there. And you're right.
Right.
Thank you for your call. And you know, it reminds me, her statement, Barbara's statement reminds me of when my uncles used to talk about how they went to the fight in Korea before I was born or as I was born, and would come back home to Alabama. I was born and raised in New York, but they were in Alabama. And they'd have to sit in the back of the bus. And one of the most harmful things, painful things for them, is they went, that was my cousins and uncle, but my great uncle said he fought World War II, and nothing was more painful to him than he came back to the United States and had to sit in the back of the bus behind German white folks. And he had just been out there fighting in Germany, fighting the Germans, and they had more rights in the United States than he had when he got home.
You know, what's that line? It's in Dad's book, God in the Ghetto, about a tombstone that reads, "Here lies a black man who died for a white man in a war fought against the yellow man based on, to protect land taken from the red man."
Yeah, that was
And
your father.
right?
Yeah, that's your
Yep.
direct quote from Reverend Dr. William Augustus Jones Jr., your father. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard him do that live
and-
many times.
right. And it was an unmarked grave. No love shown the black soldier. You know, I just want to say though, note that Donald Trump signed an executive order to end DEI in the Pentagon.
Right.
So you can bring us all in at the levels of frontline service, but when it comes to leadership roles, oh no, we don't need any more of those programs. They need to just stay on the front line.
Absolutely right. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Jones Austin. Be right back. I was talking to someone
Breaking news.
in the entertainment field a couple of days ago who was facing a real crisis and was about really to give up, feeling this crisis would permanently damage their career and their life. And I told them, I said, first of all, there is no crisis you can't overcome. And there's no situation you cannot go through and come out victorious. You know, I read a passage once about I never met or never saw someone that had massive success that had not had points in their life where they totally felt that whatever they were facing would destroy them. I mean, I've read about people, I've been blessed to be close to people, and everyone that achieved greatness had a moment or more than one moment where they felt this will destroy me, and they came back after the brink of total destruction. So don't ever give up. This may be your point of total destruction that you're looking at, so you can go on up to being massively successful. And you've got to go with determination every day. I can't tell you how important that everyday commitment and determination it is, and you have to do it no matter. Let me tell you something. Your goals don't care how tired you are, how busy you are, how scared you are. how distracted you are, your goals are going to be there, no matter what mood or attitude or emotions you're going through. So part of what you need to do, half of it, is showing up no matter how tired you are, no matter how scared you are, no matter how busy you are. Show up to everything you need to show up for to achieve your goal. Just show up. And once you show up, you will get in the rhythm of doing what you're supposed to do. So I was telling this person in Hollywood, yep, going through a crisis, heartbreak. You got a show tonight, show up. And when you get on that stage, perform like you don't have a care in the world. I'm talking to somebody out there, whatever you do, whether you're a preacher, whether you're an administrator, whether you're a business person, whether you work as a teacher, or preacher, or teacher, or policeman, whatever it is, show up to work. Keep showing up and work your way through your crisis. Work your way through your tests. And make sure you understand that you were born to do what you do. Once you embrace why you were born, the mood shifts, the crisis, how we react, how we don't react, it's all part of the process. If life was easy, there would be no rewarding in life. Rewarding comes from knowing when life is not easy and you made it through anyhow. So whoever I'm talking to, I want you to know this morning, whatever you're going through, you can get through. You must get through, because it's designed for you to get through it so you can come out the other side stronger, so you can handle the blessings you're going to get on the other side. You are not ready to handle those blessings. They may be too much for you to handle, so you'll go into arrogance and reckless living and all. But if we bring you through a crisis, sober you up, when you get the blessings, you'll handle it with balance. So this is not a time to throw in the towel. It's a time to take the time to wipe the sweat off your brow and get ready for the other side. And you'll meet the other side more thoughtful and more sober, because what you went through prepared you to get through. Where Frederick Douglass laid. Don't stand on the ground where Rosa Parks laid, unless you're going to really do what it is we committing to do. Because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against wickedness, principalities, wickedness in high places. I want everyone, if you're resolved, to just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, Al Sharpton, do solemnly commit that I will stand up and rise up in the name of Dr. King, in the name of Frederick Douglass, in the name of Rosa Parks, and I will defend equality for all, diversity, equality, inclusion, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, immigration rights. I commit, I take this oath that I will not become like those I'm fighting. I'm not for violence, but I will peacefully stand against those that want to bring us down. I commit this in the house of God on this sacred ground. So help me God. Congratulate yourself.
You're live.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. Let me read one of the comments. Getting a lot of comments today on live stream. Glad to see people active both online, live stream, and on the phones. On the radio. Derek Person writes, Reverend Al, I've been listening to your show since 2016. My question is why Elon and Trump find fraud in everything that helps minority communities. Well, it's a good question, and thank you for being with us since 2016. You've been watching 9 years. That's a long time. And I mean, the only thing you could say is that there is clearly a biased pattern to Donald Trump. He goes after things, whether it is in the domestic realm, the United States, where he's president, or international. For him to call several African nations and Haiti an S-hole country, for him to say he'd give the white settlers in South Africa refugee status here while he's putting blacks and browns out the country, breaking up families. I mean, it's obvious to me that he and Musk, when they talking about repatriation in South Africa, you must wonder whether Musk has some relatives. He was born and raised in apartheid South Africa, and it may be some of his folks that they feel threatened by. So let's not consider all of that. Jenny, it's policy day. Let's go to Todd in Cleveland, Ohio, WERE. Todd?
Hey, Reverend Al Sharpton, Jennifer Jones Austin.
Yeah.
What you were just referencing was Executive Order 15204. Executive Order 14204. Executive Order 14204. And that's Trump's executive order to give refugee status to Afrikaans who believe that their land was taken from them unjustly. And yes, Musk is descended from apartheid land grabbers. That's true. The executive order takes away time from things that are truly domestic, important things that he should be taking care of. And although it's not a constitutional violation that he would recommend that, you did make a clear and correct comment at the beginning of your broadcast that there's no justification morally for this if you want to send Haitians that were brought here to work and they are working in Springfield, Ohio, and other places around the country, and Cubans as well, and say that they can't stay because they came here because of similar circumstances of other immigrants that have come here. Now, I'm not referencing the South African white people that have come here under very, very adverse circumstances that were not due to their own behavior. You know, they should be allowed to stay and work and maybe become citizens at some point. It's odd. It's odd, but that's the executive order. People should read it and see just how foul it is. I have a question for the two of you, though. The defunding of some of the research programs of the Department of Education, have you read through any of them?
Read through the...
I have.
Go ahead, Jenny.
No, I have not read through them.
You talking about have read through the parts that they want to defund?
Yeah, they've already taken action.
Right.
They've already taken action to defund some research projects in the Department of Education.
No, I've not read the research departments they want to defund. I know generally. I had former Secretary of Education Arnie Duncan on my television show last weekend, and he talked about some of the areas they were defunding, but I can't say I read the specific research projects.
Okay, I'll get into that if opportunity presents itself next week. But this power that Elon Musk has been granted is not restricted enough for me. And I understand wanting to make the government more efficient if that is your true cause, if that's what you want to do. You want to make the government more efficient, meaning that you want to reduce costs so that you can move money in a certain direction that you can openly talk about at an immediate time that you try to reduce costs. That's not what's going on, though. That's not what's going on at all. And I just don't have any other further comment about that. So I just wanted to put that out there. But people should read that executive order to see just how foul it is.
All right.
I'll do that, and I'm also going to look into the education, the specific programs. I do know that there's been a lot of back and forth during testimony about whether or not Title I funding that goes to lower income communities would be affected, whether or not Pell Grants for low income children from families with low income for college tuition assistance, whether or not that would be affected. But I don't know of specific programs just yet that have been defunded, so I will look into that.
If you take away the research that gives the justification for the programs to exist, then that stops the programs from existing or being funded, because you could say, well, we don't have the facts here to say that this is supposed to be here under these conditions. Well, why don't you have the facts here to say that this should be here under these conditions? Because we defunded the research.
Right. The only thing is, again, I have to look at the research, because what you've also got to remember is that, and this is not at all in defense of Trump, but you've got a lot of data that, besides research, like census tract data, and American Consumer Survey data, that gives America a sense of where there are pockets of highly segregated communities, people who have low income and the like. And so that is data that's often used to also inform the allocation of money for Title I, for Pell Grants and the like. But like I said, I'm going to do some homework and take a look at what you're talking about, but I have not seen anything yet about the research.
Yep, because the purpose, the best is the wrong word, the most efficient way, however unethical it may be, for them to get rid of the Department of Education is they would like to do so. Since they can't get the votes, they don't have 60 votes to get rid of it. They don't even have 50 votes. They don't have 50 votes in the Republican Party to get rid of it. But if you defund it enough, you can make it so weak that it's hardly useful for the public that it's set up to be useful for. So we should all be looking at those research departments that are being defunded and find out what the argument is for that. And most importantly, as it applies to Elon Musk's behavior, most importantly, is if you defund anything in an attempt to save costs, where is the money going to that you now are not spending on that thing that you defunded? That should be a big project for everybody. I'm down with making the government more efficient, but I haven't read or seen any video. I haven't read any print. Haven't seen any video of anything that he brought down in costs that he could point to and say, "Oh, well, we're going to use the money for this." You follow me?
Well, you got to remember that he's put forward a $2 trillion spending cuts, but he's also put forward $4 trillion in tax cuts. So if he's going to keep cutting taxes, he's not going to have any money to reallocate anywhere.
Right.
Taxes
That's
pay
what
for
the spending bill looks like.
Taxes pay for services. If you don't have the taxes,
I'm saying if you're right, and what I'm saying to you is that if you put forth a plan to cut spending, but your plan to cut your revenues is even greater, there's no savings, there's no reallocation. You're in a deficit.
Right.
And that's what they're doing right now.
And that's a big issue. And you know what? This is a national action. I'm not really strong on saying it this time, but this would be an exceptionally good national action network project. Every time that a state, which is not federal dollars, it's state dollars, has to go into court and to stop an executive order that has been clearly determined as being unconstitutional and use their state money that was really used for, those attorney generals always have something that they have to do. They go to work and get off work, and there's still work there to be done. But every time they have to go in and get something turned over that was unconstitutional because of an executive order that was clear, we should be keeping track of how much that is costing those taxpayers in that state, as well as the cost of the federal employees that have been charged to defend his unconstitutional executive orders, because those attorneys also, when they go to work, there's stuff to be done. When they get off work, there's still stuff to be done. And if you got to go into court constantly trying to defend something that's unconstitutional because the president, who is an employee, has pushed you to do so, that's running up costs too. A lot of costs. Birthright citizenship is constitutional. Get up off of it.
All right. Thank you for your call. As always, Todd, let's take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Jones Austin, right after this. Oral service for victims of this wildfire tragedy. And the plane circled around the skies over New York. And I looked down and saw a statue that they brought me as a child going to public schools in Brooklyn, of a statue called Liberty that had inscribed in it, "Bring me your huddled masses that yearn to be free." And I thought about how now places of sanctuary, churches, hospitals, are now being told they can be invaded for those that were invited here by those that claimed the country would stand for freedom. We come tonight saying that we must have the courage to stand up for what this country has represented for centuries. There was a battle once between the Philistines and the Israelites. Those that were trained about battle, those that had war training, were afraid to face the giant of Goliath. But a shepherd boy who'd never been to boot camp, who'd never been trained, had the courage to stand up and fight Goliath. And we pray tonight that we would have our little David in all of us. We may not have the powers of the state, but we all have a slingshot and a few smooth stones. And if we would stand up and use what God has given each of us, we can take down the giants. Because Paul wrote the Ephesians saying, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers, principalities of darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places. So we come to say, no matter how we worship God, we're on the Lord's side. And if we would stand up with courage, the Lord will be on our side. Let us pray. Dear God, we thank you for giving us a mind to stand together despite whatever way we worship you, despite whatever way we manifest through our races or nationalities. You've given us the mind to serve those as you have served us. Now bless us to have courage to know that no matter who sits in high places of government, that you still sit on the throne, and you will bless those that bless the least of these, and you will give us the strength and courage to stand up even in times of meanness and wickedness. And we'll be careful not to ego trip or be arrogant, but we'll give you the praise for giving us the courage to do what needs to be done in these times. These blessings we ask. Amen.
I've been traveling around the country talking to the radio announcers, the church people, and the street people, telling them that God has smiled on me. God has smiled on you if you got breath in your body, if He woke you up this morning and started you on your way. But I want to tell you some stories of people that God smiled on. We know the story of Dr. Martin Luther King, how he started way back in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955, trying just to get dignity, trying to get respect. And he went all the way to the mountaintop. But he didn't forget about the brothers in the valley. He didn't forget about those trapped in the alley. And I hear Brother Martin King say, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me. Let me tell you, God has smiled on me. It's been so good to me. Then I see as Dr. King went on, another man stepping to the forefront by the name of John F. Kennedy, who rose up and said, let's not stand back. Let's not wait for a handout. Let's wait for a way out. He said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. He said, don't us gravel and don't us moan, because God can smile on us. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Let me say it. God has smiled on me. One more time. I want to say this song. I say God has smiled on me. He has set me free. Pick it up. God has smiled on me. I feel it. Then I went on by backstage at the Apollo Theater and I saw a man come out. They call him the King of Soul, James Brown. And James Brown said, Reverend, don't you worry. I started out as a shoe shine boy. I started out as a convict. I started out uneducated. But I learned to sing my song. And I sung it all over the world. I told him it was a man's world. I told him about the big payback. I told him Papa got a brand new bag. And all over the world, they can hear my voice. But Reverend, don't you frown.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. And in the last few minutes, Attorney Jones Austin, they have sworn in Robert Kennedy Jr., Secretary of Health and Human Services, passed the vote, and Donald Trump has sworn him in. A conspiracy theorist, a denier of vaccines, is now over the health of the United States.
And someone with racist views about blacks and genetics and, a very, very, very troubling position on, like how our bodies, black bodies, respond to vaccines and whether or not we need to be vaccinated the same as other people.
Yeah,
very
we need different
very
vaccination.
disturbing.
He's very much on the record on that. Let me say by way of announcements, don't forget Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, Saturday and Sunday live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. And you can rest assured that I'll be talking about all of these cabinet confirmations with some members of the Senate, and we're already booking them into Congress, and some of the governors on what these cuts
As the Super
these immigration mean, as well as some of our activists. So don't miss Politics Nation this weekend at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. And you in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut vicinity, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue, at 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. every Saturday morning. I'll be there this Saturday, and certainly with all that's going on with the U.S. Attorney resigning in New York around the mayor, them dropping charges, her resigning in protest, with the whole confirmation of certain cabinet members. I have a lot I'm going to keynote on this Saturday. And that's all the more reasons why you should be preparing now to be in New York for the National Action Network's National Convention. All the sessions are free, and it's from April the 2nd through the 5th. We have workshops on everything from voting rights to how we deal with economic development. Some of our leading black business men are there. How we protect ourselves in the era of Trump with health care and business development. This is the first convention since he was in, first national gathering. And we're going to come out of there pinpointing exactly who we're going to boycott on this DEI question. Some others have come out and said, I've not called for anything. I'm not against anything. But I've only said we need to study and do it right, and we're going to release ours during the convention in April. Any other actions before that, we can support it, but don't say I called it, because I don't want to be measured by something that I don't know what the measure is. But go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or call the toll-free number at 1-877-626-4631, 1-877-626. I'm sorry, 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651, and you can put your name down. Say, I want to be there. I'm going to be there 2 days. One day I can do all 4 days. Please be there and be there for part of it. We coming out of there at some corporations. We coming out of there with a plan. Let's go back to the phones, Jenny. Jenny, I wanted to clarify something we said early in the show. Let me give you that opportunity.
Yes. When we were talking about the lawsuit by the federal government against New York State and the Attorney General. I was centering on the city and sanctuary city and how they had talked about that. And what they were saying is at this particular point, they aren't directly coming at the city because they believe that Eric Adams is going to comply despite us being a sanctuary city. And what they're doing right now is saying, okay, but the state, you all may not be in compliance. You've been giving licenses to undocumented workers and the like. And if you're going to violate Donald Trump's orders, then we're going to sue you. We're going to take you into court and sue you. So essentially right now they've just given a nod to Eric Adams saying, we know you're a sanctuary city, but you said you're going to comply, so we're not going to come for you right now.
All right, let's go to Lola in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, WURD.
Yes. What's up, Reverend Al? How are you today?
I'm doing
thanks
well.
For being on every day.
Thank
I'm
you.
so glad to hear you're doing well. And just like you, hello, Attorney Austin. I wanted to just say two things real quick, but I wanted to just start off with this with Eric Adams. It's really funny how I'm not condemning him. I don't, he wasn't proven to be guilty or anything. You're innocent until you're proven guilty. But with his pardon, it comes with conditions.
Right.
Well, hold on. But if you step out of line, we're going to reissue the charges against you. But all the white people, that guy in Chicago, his name is
Blagojevich. Blagojevich. He was former governor.
He pardoned all his friends and all his white friends straight out.
Well, not only did he pardon him, he's talking about making him an ambassador now.
Right, but with Eric Adams, the black man, I'm gonna keep this noose around your neck until you do and bow down to me and do everything that I say. That's what I wanted to just bring up. But then my second thing I wanted to just say is to touch on this because we're ending on the Super Bowl thing because the parade is tomorrow in Philadelphia. Have you noticed, Reverend Al, that the 47th felon has not congratulated the Eagles yet? He has not congratulated the black coach, and he has not invited them to the White House. Now, I'm not saying that they want to go or not, but that's been a tradition forever. He disinvited them in 2018, and now, he was sitting up in the stands with the Mahomes family. He likes them because, the white mother, and he looked at the Kansas Chiefs as the white team. But we got the Philadelphia team, which is headed by a black quarterback and the black running backs and Devontae Smith and all of them. He hasn't said one word. He hasn't congratulated. He hates Philadelphia. He called us a bad town and all that stuff. But it's really odd how – it's not odd. I mean, it's who he is. But it's really disgusting, I should say, because when Obama was in office, every other day he had to say, even though you didn't vote for me, I am the president for all people. Even though you don't like me, I am the president for all people. But we got this petty 47 felon in. Even though we didn't vote for you, you are the president for all people. My taxpayer money and everybody else taxpayer money who didn't vote for you is paying for what y'all up there doing and paying for the country. But you're going to be so petty to do what you're doing. It is absolutely disgusting. And these people in this country would rather see the country burn down to the ground instead of electing a black woman to help uplift this company. And now everybody's going to be in turmoil. Do white people really think that Medicaid and the food stamps and stuff that he's going to cut is not going to affect them? That's when everybody's going to start screaming and hollering that they can't pay for stuff. They can't pay for their medicine. Eggs are up. I talked about this with you earlier in the week, Reverend Al. People out here stealing eggs. You open the carton, all the eggs are gone. I mean, people are stealing because they don't have food. And I'm not saying it's right. I do not believe in stealing or anything. But this is what's happening. He's supposed to bring down the cost of this, the cost of that, and everything else is rising, gas and everything. He's a petty man. He should not be in office, but this is what we have to deal with 4 years. We got to keep on moving with Nan. We got to keep on moving and fighting and hitting him, but just as much as they throwing at us, we got to keep throwing it back at them, and we cannot give up. We've been here before. I'm not going to lay down. I'm not laying down and letting this man take over this country that my ancestors fought and worked for and built for free. I will not go out like this. Black people, we cannot go out like this, and we will continue to fight this monster. I'm telling you, this is disgusting.
No, it is disgusting, and I think your passion is justified. Mm-hmm. Jenny, you want to respond to what Lola's saying?
She said it all, and I'm right there with her. I'm ready to ride with you. We're doing it.
Yeah,
all right, Austin, let's ride.
Yeah, we got to ride. We got to ride together on all of this stuff because we in the thick of it now. It's not what could happen. It's happening. Let's try to get in Andre J. in Chicago. Andre J., you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton and Attorney Jennifer Jones-Austin.
Hello, Rev, and hello, Ms. Austin. Let me go quick. I think Eric Adams had lost his credibility because if he was certain that he was innocent, he would have refused any favors and let the cases go forward. Ms. Austin, real quick, when Donald Trump says he wants to fire the people in the Department of Justice, you know, policemen and the people working the feds, they have ties to the streets. They know thugs and criminals that help them solve cases. So by him firing these people, is that going to delay the solving of some of these cases, whatnot? It's like they'd have to start all over again, building a relationship with people in the streets. Lastly, Elon Musk got 2 degrees. He got 1 degree in a Bachelor of Arts. He got another degree in a Bachelor of Science and Economics. But that doesn't mean that he shouldn't be questioned before the Congress. He should be scrutinized. Thank you very much.
That's right.
I think I don't think any of us could argue what he just said. You're right.
None of what he said can we argue with. And you know, when they start getting rid of people without really doing a thorough review of who does what, that should concern us all, because they're getting rid of people who are very valuable, whether it be people on the street, in the Department of Justice, whether it be people in Health and Human Services, wherever. Many of these people who they will lay off, many of the people who retired, may be people who hold institutional knowledge that is necessary and vital for the nation to function well. So it's real problematic.
It's very problematic, and it undermines, in no uncertain term, the whole question of who and what is running this country, and the corruption here of it. I mean, this stinks to high heavens, and the problem is you have someone in the White House that apparently does not care. All right, I hear the music. Let me thank Attorney Jennifer Jones-Austin. Let me thank all of you that called in, listened in, you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the 2 most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me, and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They called me everything but a child of God.
Racial discord, a blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
a race baiter. Yeah, right. I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are, and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustling, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old, with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.